Well, hey there. Once again, it's time to hang out and watch some anime. Thanks for tuning in. It's Eric O'Sullivan, Reverend Sully, the irreverent reverend of all things geeky, the anti-pope and guru of Xanadu, ordained on the internet. How are you? Hope you're doing awesome today, and I'll do this unless I get, any kind of copyright strikes. This is my DVD copy of Mobile Suit Gundam 00, Season 1. And this is episode 18. And picking up where we left off last time, this is The Aim of Evil Intense. It premiered in February of 2008, and it's a Trinity siblings. Yeah, and so if you tuned in from last time, I just want to let you know off the bat, spoilerific. I'll be spoiling everything. I mean, there's no use in not talking about the show. It's 15 years old. But this is Gundam Mobile Suit 00, and we're entering the ramp up to the cliffhanger of Season 1, which is heartbreaking. We lose a lot of good guys, and there's a lot of reversals, and it leaves it on such a this Empire Strikes Back note of what's going to happen. Also, there's a new theme song as well. They changed the theme song for midway about Season 1, and they do it again in Season 2. So we basically get 4 different openings with 4 different main theme songs. And it's really cool because, it's anime. Or these elaborate openings that just fill you in with little parts of the story. With Louisa and Saji in nicer days. And also, it makes me look back on Saji Crossroads, that, wow, what a loyal friend. And someone who believed in love and believed in the woman that he loved. And, it shows all the characters. Ali Alsaces, Lacan Stratos. They have an intertwined fate. And Setsuna F. Seihei and Ali Alsaces. And the bridge crew, the Ptolemaeos. And the Trinity Gundams, the Throne Gundams, Eyes, Vine, and Dry. The Trinities are really interesting characters, and they're not necessarily good guys. And I also... Hi, nanda desu ka? Gundam. Knocked over a bunch of boxes. But, yeah, Gunpla is a sickness, and I got Virtue instead. This is Virtue. This is Tiara Erde's Season 1 Mobile Suit. And it's got the GN cannon. It's got the GN bazooka. Kokoro desu ka? This is a 1 in 144 scale model, as are all my other Gundam 00s. There's Tiara's picture for his bio. And remember, this is the heavy tank Gundam, and it's flown by such a androgynous waif, which is the really cute kind of story part. Their name is Team Trinity, and they just show up out of nowhere. It was this. It was such a. I never caught it before until this viewing, but the entire world decided to have a joint military operation. So it was the entire world was calling out Celestial Being, and Celestial Being responded by showing up and got into this unwinnable fight. And but at the end of it, they were Celestial Being, the 4 Gundams, were rescued by Team Trinity, which are the new team members. And it'll turn out that Alejandro Corner grew them or developed them. They're genetically engineered by Alejandro Corner, who has his own agenda. There's also something called Veda, which is the supercomputer, which was developed by Aeolia Shenberg, who is enacting his plan and is to unify the world so we can get up into space. Because the only way we can get into space is to be unified as a culture and a people with one mission to go out there together, and not as a band of competing interests and nations. And speaking of grown in a vat, there are some of these superhumans that are planted in the show here and there. And it's part of Aeolia Shenberg's celestial being that they made. They made their own synthetic people that with nanobots in them that could, be great pilots and weather the endurances of space flight. And they're called innovators, and they're supposed to be the first humans that will go into space. And so it's really complicated. This show is a lot like The Wire. There are so many characters. There are so many angles. There are so many things going on. And this is Wang Lufei. She's one of the celestial being overseers, and she provides financial support and comfort and oh, that's right. And this is Graham Akers, the United States ace. He's the Maverick, and he's got a great story. And this really one of my favorite parts of this entire show. A lot of individual characters and their journeys, and we're going to see Billy Katagiri as well. Billy Katagiri has pathos. He is heartbroken. He turns toxic emotionally because he wants revenge by season 2, and then by the end of it, he chooses friendship and love instead. And it was just a wonderful watching. Billy Katagiri resonated with me because I've had that journey myself, haven't we all? Being betrayed, or he was just he is heartbroken, in the worst way. He figures out the love of his life, his Sumeragi Lee Noriega, the tactician and general of Celestial Being. And it's this heartbreaking scene in season 2 in the opening that they've been living together, and he's happy. He's king of the world. He's got, he's developing these mobile suits with new technology and these new GN particles, which are the energy of this fictional world. And he's got the girl he loves, but she's a depressed alcoholic, and she's drinking herself into oblivion every night, and she's just unhappy. And then the door rings, and it's Setsuna, and he's like, all right, time to get back to work. And Billy Katagiri's like, what's going on here? And Setsuna just looks at him and he's like, this is Sumeragi Lee Noriega, tactician of Celestial Being, and we're getting back to work. And Billy's heart breaks because he knew he had unintentionally been played because he was sleeping literally with the enemy. And he's got a great voyage. And this is heartbreaking. This is Saji Crossroads' sister. And she is an investigative journalist working for a Tokyo newspaper. And she's following the trail of Aeolia Shenberg. Who is this person? You know what I mean? Why does he keep coming up? Why can't I find the proper information on him? So she's following a lead. She's brilliant, and it leads to her untimely death at the hands of Alias Sanchez, and who just mercilessly knifes her in the side and throws her body out of the door. And then Saji has to identify the remains of his sister at the morgue. And he's lost Luisa by then, too. See, Luisa has gone to Spain to be with the family. She left Saji in Japan to come to this family wedding. And, yeah, she's on the phone with Saji right now. She misses him so much. They're a cute little, high school couple. I don't even think they've kissed yet, And what happens here is what traumatizes Louise. This is her inciting incident. Team Trinity attacks and decimates this destroys this castle. See, the GN particles disrupt communications, so that's always like a telltale. That's a red flag. And these are the Trinity. These are the Throne Gundams. And they're not necessarily good guys. They're following orders, and they are celestial being. Yet they're working for Alejandro Corner. And this is just Nana Trinity being an asshole. And it's important to know that the red particles emitted by these GN Tau drives are toxic to human flesh when it's in their beam form. So when she shoots this beam here, so she's psychotic. And she does this out of sheer malice. And this is because we don't know who the Team Trinity is yet. We're only beginning to figure out what's going on with them. And so these are the story beats that lead us up to the eventual, them butting heads with our 4 Gundammeisters. Nanu. And look, she's being so cute about it. And she's this cute anime girl. But she's a psychopath. And she makes it to season 2. She ends up working for Wang Lufei as an intelligence officer. And Sumeragi, Lee Noriega. Remember, she's very age appropriate for me. I was 35 when I met her. She's got to be like 29 or 32 here. I mean, hello? A boy can dream of waifu, huh? Hi. That's Locke Stratos, the Irishman. That's Setsuna F. Seihei, the protagonist. And let's read. I'm going to read this real quick. I mean, this is the primer that's on the back of this boot. I don't know if it's a bootleg, but it's definitely not an American copy. This is a Cantonese copy, and it has Japanese dialogue, Cantonese dialogue, and English, Japanese, and Cantonese subtitles. So I can see it in the traditional, awesome way of Japanese dialogue with English subtitles. It took me a couple of times to figure out which setting was which. This series is set in the years 2307 to 2308 AD of the Gregorian calendar. During this time, fossil fuels became exhausted and the distribution of fuels became imbalanced. Humanity must rely on an array of solar power generation systems orbiting the Earth and supported by 3 orbital elevators, each one pertaining to one of the 3 major powers of the planet: the Union of Solar Energy and Free Nations, consisting of the Organization of American States, Australasia, and Japan, control the elevator located in South America. The Human Reform League, consisting of China, Siberia, and Russia, India, and the nations of South Asia, excluding the Middle Asian state of Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, Mongolia, and the member states of the ASEAN, Papua New Guinea, and then the European Union, the AEU. That's the third. the third player here, consisting of Iceland, the islands of the Barents Seas, Greenland, Anatolia, then the middle of the African continent. Remember, I'm reading this, so it's not gonna. I don't think it's supposed to make complete sense, when read aloud. With this infinite source of energy benefiting only the major powers and their allies, constant warfare erupts around the globe for fuels and energy. The nations that rely on fuel have plunged into poverty. Many believe that solar energy threatened the promised land of God. The chaos led to the formation of a private military organization called Celestial Being, dedicated to eradicating war and uniting humanity with the use of four humanoid machines called Gundams. The series follows four mobile suit pilots, termed Gundam Meisters, sided with Celestial Being. The protagonist is 16-year-old Setsuna F. Seihei, a quiet, taciturn young man who grew up in the Kurdish Republic and a Gundam Meister for 2 years. He pilots the GN 0001 Gundam Exia, a high-mobility mobile suit, effective in melee combat. So this is an overflag. This is Grand Acres, and he's taking on a Throne Gundam. And he is motivated. Yeah. He takes it, yeah. Nice. He brought a piece of technology from him, too. Grant had this that suit specially made for him, the mobile suit specially made for him. He said, I don't care about the number of G's of the force of speed and velocity upon what is a G? Let's look that up real quick. G force. When the G force, the gravitational force equivalent, more commonly G force, is a measurement of the type of force per unit mass, typically acceleration, that causes a perception of weight. With a G force of 1 G, not gram in mass measurement, not 1 G equal to the conventional value of gravitational acceleration on Earth, which is about 9.8 miles per second. G forces indirectly produce weight. Any G force can be described as weight per unit mass. Too mathy for me. Flying off to Spain, Saji. And Saji heard about that Luis was, that this happened to her. He's a kid. He just upped and left, and ran. Oh. Oh, aren't you ditching school? Oh. It's that ring that you wanted. It was so expensive. But here comes the irony. This is bittersweet. And this is why anime rules. It has these bittersweet emotional moments. This melodrama. This payoff. And it kind of sums up their relationship a bit. Their relationship has a future, yet yeah. she lost her hand. And this comes back in season 2. And she's used as a cat's paw to move the story along, but also, yeah, she just becomes a good person that now gets introduced to power and maybe how to be evil in order to keep it. And so by the end of season 2, she's developed a lot. She's lost a lot. Her resilience is, a lot of it is based in rage. And she has such an interesting story. Louise here has just such a really good character. And I came into this show at the beginning of season 2. I didn't watch season 1 the first time I watched it. So I came into it in medias res, and I came into it at the 4-year lapse. At the 4-year, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know about the first Lock-On Stratos. I didn't know about Alejandro Corner. Episode 1 of season 2 was just so drop dead good at catching you up real quick that I had no problem getting, it just gives you everything you need to know as a good story should. And and I like it when we're coming up on near the end of it. There's only there's only a couple of episodes left. This is episode 18. There are about 5 more episodes left, maybe 6. And Exia. Yep, and we have new ending credits. I like these ending credits. They're cute. It's like Lock-On giving Setsuno a haircut. And it's like a boy band video. And because they're all looking into their hands and some bitter regret, which really sums up the whole, the end of season 1. Yeah. That's Tierra Erde. He's an innovate. That's Lock-On. That's Hallelujah Haptism. Looking at the cracked mirror, that's Lock-On Stratos, the leader, the Irishman. And then there's Setsuna, the protagonist. And there's Luis. And there's Saji, looking the other way like at an album cover. And there's Princess Marina Ismael, looking up at the stars. It looks like an album cover. It's like a rock video. I love that. Next time. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of anime of Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam OO. And this has been, I'm watching my DVD, and you've been watching it over my shoulder maybe, and I've just been gushing about it. I love this show. I'm looking forward to finishing this up and seeing season 2 and then getting to the movie. And I'm going to get to it. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you could be so kind. I make daily content. We talk about comic books every day. I'm a chef. I do cooking videos. I'm an ordained minister and an amateur theologian. I make spirituality videos. And I also take cute animal videos of bunnies and birdsong in the morning too. And so thank you so much for tuning in. I love OO Gundam, and I'm going to get back to watching this show. And hopefully I've turned you on to wanting to watch it as well. Cheers.